Anyway.
Man, that shit with Alec Baldwin is wild as fuck.
Oh, fuck.
And that
No,
onion
do it,
has
do it, go.
layers. That onion has layers.
Go.
Tell him what happened. What happened?
Well, so the first thing we hear is that there'd been a shooting on set, and it was a prop gun, and it was fired by Alec Baldwin. Which I'm sure everybody knows this point. You know that the cinematographer, with the director of photography, got killed, and one of the director got shot too, and it's terrible.
It's terrible.
And
oh my
man,
God.
it happened in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Shout out Santa Fe.
But it was wild because as you start to find out about the story, you find out that not only did he fire the gun, but it was like labeled cold, so it was supposed to be not have a bullet at all, not be able to fire a projectile really, and be like totally treated differently. So, but then you find out that there was. They're like, who's the armor? Who's the person? There's an armor that basically is supposed to handle that. And this person had only had one movie before, and her dad was a veteran armor. And so there's stuff where basically like who fucked up or what happened. But then you find out that there was a walkout earlier because there'd been 2 shootings before on set.
Really?
Somebody, the stuntman had fired 2 shots off a couple days before. So that half the crew, or like half a dozen of the crew, I believe, walked off earlier, but it was because of unsafe conditions. But they were basically the producers fired most of all the people in the union that were complaining about this and hired non-union people to save money and basically cut corners. And you know who's a producer? Alec Baldwin.
Oh shit.
So
Damn.
it's crazy because I don't know what he was, what his side of it, but there was, and also the director of photography that died. Maybe I'm saying I might
cinematographer.
I'm sorry, the cinematographer. I didn't, I think
you good. You good.
What you got?
But she had also complained. Who died basically was campaigning for the people that walked off for better conditions and stuff. But basically, it's so. It was interesting because I first had heard about this, and that's what I kind of thought. I was like, man, it's weird that the last time we heard about this was with The Crow in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So what's scary about this kind of stuff is that, man, that's just like sounds like some weird-ass stuff you see in some theatrical accident in the early 1900s. We don't see that now. So when you see the crazy stuff like this, we think, man, is society unraveling? Is this going to get worse? And I really thought, I was like, man, I bet this was some budget thing where they're skimping shit to make some more money, and they basically took there should be like a team of people to do this, and there's one, or they rushed, or they, and I wonder if we're going to, not necessarily going to see more.
Some sort of oversight and being cheap.
And being cheap for money. So, and I wonder, if this is just a new thing, a COVID thing, a small budget thing, or if this is, where they try to do a non-union thing. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's kind of interesting.
It's...
I think Evan did a pretty good job at relaying all what happened. That actually changes my point of view on that matter.
That fucked me up now.
I didn't know. I know the person who they put the blame on was the prop man or the armor, the head armor.
That's who I blamed.
Yeah, right.
The fuck.
And I think she even said in an interview she was a little wary taking this or a job because she wasn't sure if she was ready.
She said in a podcast.
And she did hand him a gun and say cold gun.
So she said in a podcast referring to a movie that she did with Nicolas Cage.
So
there's a movie, the old son, I forget what it was called, but basically it was where she was the first prop manager for it. She says, but it went really smoothly and such and such. But this one didn't. Now the thing is, okay, so you would think that we first her to blame, and maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But what I will say that I will now jump far back to the 90s. If you remember what happened with the Great White. A hair metal band that was famous for playing a club in where it burned down because of pyrotechnics.
Huh.
Now, basically, there was they had this sound absorption. It was basically, and most people that were there died because they bottlenecked. They all ran for the same entrance they went. And they all bottlenecked and got stuck in the door. There's a picture where they're basically all that happened. The whole place burned down because they basically had a pyro guy. They're like, you do the pyro, but they didn't. There was not a system of. They probably didn't ask anybody. They didn't know that there was all the sound absorption was just literally flammable of the set. But this guy, I pay you this, you do this, and you know what I mean, did it. So I think it's a little different. It's sure she burned. There's a burden about blame, but it's also the Nicolas Cage movie might have had a better budget and been union had a team, these kind of things. And then here's get it done. We're here now. Get into it. Go. Let's go. Are you really going to be able to do your job quickly, fast, and well, you know what I mean.
Efficient.
Also, I
efficient
can't
at the same
imagine-
time. You start to run out of
Efficiency.
problems. So if you don't have resources to.
Heard.
I can't
So
imagine
I'm
how
just saying
she
that
feels too. Like if
What'd you
she's
say?
like, I can't imagine how she feels too of like fucking up at your job, but at least to somebody's
Well,
dead.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what happened with Great White. The judge talked to that guy, that pyrotechnic. Was just like, "There's nothing I can't do that's already that's already happened," and pretty much kind of gave him like, bro, just like you're gonna live the rest of your life knowing that like fucking 100 people just burned it, like,
Wow.
and I can't. There's nothing I can do that prison can do, man. Pretty much.
Fuck.
And I don't know, that's some heavy ass shit. Like, I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time
Yeah.
researching that thing because just these impossible things just beg a question of who and why and what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, just
Holy fuck, man. What you got? Go.
Nothing to follow that. I was just gonna say there's a lot of screenshots going around of Alec Baldwin that don't look too good. Like just tweets
Really?
and like a shirt that says "Guns don't kill people. Alec Baldwin kills people." Like
That's
him wearing a
ratty.
shirt.
That's
That's all I was
Damn.
gonna say. Yeah, but nothing like of
That
importance
sounds
like you
like
guys.
that
Yeah.
sounds like a coincidence. Like if it
Yeah.
was just like if
That's
Alec
fucked
Baldwin
up.
was 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin, everybody would find that hilarious.
Exactly. It's
But
just
the fact
there's
that
just-
like
there's a lot
Alec
of stuff
Baldwin
going.
caught a body.
There's
is
stuff
just,
that's
like,
going around
really,
that's not
really
aging.
crazy.
There's stuff that's going around that's not aging well.
Not
That's all I was
everything
gonna say.
ages well.
Yeah.
That's.
But I never heard that story about Great White,
damn.
and I didn't know the details about the actual
Holy
story.
shit.
Also,
Yeah, you
I
can watch a
had-
video of there's like somebody that's like taking it and it starts to see it catch and he starts backing up.
That's
So
fucked up.
there's certain people like in the crowd, they're like, yeah, it's
That's
super dope.
horrible.
Like,
Yeah.
that motherfucker gonna make it out. It's really.
that's
I'm sorry.
devastating. No, that's
Okay.
horrible. It's tragic.